The president of the second largest teachers union in the country is pushing for schools to fully reopen for in-person learning this fall. The American Federation of Teachers president, Randi Weingarten, says opening schools is just a start for the nation's recovery. The New York Times estimates about half of U.S. schools are not fully open, despite rising vaccination levels and the CDC's recent endorsement of Pfizer's vaccine for children ages 12 to 15. A recent poll found 29% of parents say they will get their child vaccinated once they are eligible. 32% say they will wait and see. 15% say only if the school requires it. And almost 20% of parents say they will definitely not get their child vaccinated. Randi Weingarten joins me now for more on the push to reopen schools. Randi, welcome. It's so great to have you with us. This week, you acknowledged there are risks to returning to the classroom, but said CDC guidelines and the vaccine should make the goal attainable. What do you envision the effort to reopening schools fully this fall looking like?
So first off, thank you for having me. And, we have spent since April of 2020, which does feel like an eternity ago, trying to figure out how to reopen schools for in-person learning, because we know that's where kids learn best. And, when in poll after poll of our own members, they have said to us that if we could get the safety procedures and protocols that we thought were important, the layered mitigation, the testing, and the vaccines, that they would feel very confident, or they would feel confident about going back to school in person. So what we've learned in the last few months is that safety has been the vehicle to get people back into school buildings, and that when those protocols were there, people really trusted it more. And the same is now true with parents. So now we have about 97% of schools opened in person, either full or part-time. And the real game changer has been the vaccines. So what we've seen and what I've seen in the last 2 months is that there's real joy about being in school. The safety protocols have really worked, but more than anything else has been the vaccines. And with all of that, that's why we said full speed ahead for September.
So let me ask you about the vaccines then. Do you envision a future where teachers will be required to get the vaccine and students will be required to get the vaccine?
So I don't think you can do that right now because of the huge, misinformation, polarization, conspiracy theories, and all of that happen in America these days. I think we have to convince people about vaccine efficacy. So right now, 89% of my members have either gotten the vaccine or want it, and we've seen tremendous confidence and satisfaction, not only with the vaccine, but a sense of the fear dissipating because people have had it, and a lived experience of not getting sick. So that's been really good news. We have to do the same in terms of parents. And so my union is going to put in $5 million of dues money to actually do a back-to-school campaign for everyone, because trust is key to really dissipating fear, and that's what we're going to try to do for parents in America. We're seeing a huge divide, unfortunately, between white and black and brown parents. White parents trust that schools will be safe for their kids. Many fewer black and brown parents trust that, and we just saw that in some polling. But if you make sure and you really attend to making sure that schools are safe and welcoming, if we really move and do what, for example, CTU, Chicago Teachers Union, is doing, of really helping getting vaccines into communities for families and now for kids. And if we do door-to-door and really work with parents like we have with teachers to really talk to them about how we hope to make schools safe and welcoming, I think that will work. But the point you made before, it's not just about the pragmatics of reopening schools. We have to have the services to recover. And frankly, I think we have to be reimagining public education so that we are really meeting students' passions with a curriculum that is that is well-rounded and with the wraparound services that meet all of their and family needs.
Now, of course, there are some school districts that remain hesitant to reopening. What are you hearing from those school districts? Is it more about the fact that they are teaching younger children who will not be eligible for the vaccine anytime, at least in the near future, as far as we know? Or what are their exact concerns?
So every school district that, I should say, virtually every school district where we have members now have schools reopen in person. What you're hearing is that, that in some of these districts, you don't have good ventilation systems. In some of these districts, you didn't have enough space to do the spacing, and then the spacing changed. And there's a lot of other things that changed. In some of these districts, we didn't have enough teachers. And so, you've had two really terrible practices. One is called Zoom from the room, and the other is simultaneous instruction of having a teacher do in-person and online at the same time. Some of it was that, because of so many cases in the winter and the early spring, there were schools that were quarantined, and then they were open, and then they were quarantined, creating a lot of uncertainty. So you had all of those things going on at the same time. I think in the last 2 months, and since I've been fully vaxxed, I've been to 6 reopened schools, and many of whom that had reopened since September, October. The joy that I see is incredible, of both teachers and kids saying, I want to be in school with my kids. And kids, to answer your other question, younger kids actually were following the rules. So I think that the real issues going forward are going to be, how can we make sure that the environment is safe and welcoming? How can we make sure that kids are safe? How do we convince lots and lots of people to vaccinate? Because that's really the key to herd immunity and to taking off our masks when we're with other people. And how do we have these other services, the guidance counselors, the nurses, to deal with trauma, as well as dealing with academic recovery?
So, but quickly, in a nutshell, you're optimistic that this Friday we'll have schools fully open to 5-day-a-week learning?
Yes.
Great.
I am.
Great.
I'm
That's great news. That's great news. Wonderful. Well, Randi Weingarten, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.